When you brought me this statement yesterday, I felt alarmed because the BCG vaccinations are as old as all of you here. There is none of you who doesn't have a mark on your arms of BCG vaccination. So I did pick up the phone and call the PS for Health, Dr. Oluga. He confirmed that there was a shortage, but that the vaccines had arrived at JKIA and they will be distributed immediately to all hospitals, because I found this not only alarming but dangerous for the country. And we thank you for bringing the request. Dr. Nyikal, in view of the importance of this, I direct you to bring a response on Tuesday next week. I'll not give you the luxury of 2 weeks. And your response should not just be to tell us that vaccines have landed in the country, but the level of distribution to each and every health facility in the country, because children are born in every corner of this country and they are entitled as of right under the Constitution to these important vaccines.
Yes, Mr. Speaker, I'm also aware of this, and I made the same inquiry you did, and I say that we'll get it on Tuesday. So I'll make an effort to contact the CS and get the report by Tuesday.
Go beyond telling us that the vaccines have arrived. Tell us the manner and efficacy of distribution to all areas of need.
Understood.
Yes, thank you. On the same? Yes, Oundo.
Is it also possible, Speaker, the chair can also get an assurance from the State Department that such shortage and lack of the vaccine is not going to happen in this country in the foreseeable future, to avoid putting our children under peril? Thank you, Chair. Speaker.
You. Yes, Gagusha, on the same?
Yeah, thank you, Honorable Speaker. I would like to request that as the chair gives us that statement, he also addresses the statement on the issue of shortage of blood bags and reagents that has also been causing issue of blood shortage in the country, because it has taken a bit of time before he gives us that feedback, Honorable Speaker. Yes, I did, and you directed that it be provided here in the House, but the chair has not done so as per your direction. And there's also another issue on the same, on the issue of ICU payments, the issue of boosting from 4,000 to 28,000 on SHA, which was raised here by the CS when he was here. He was also directed to also give us feedback on the same. Honorable Speaker, those two issues remain unanswered.
So that we don't convolute this, Chairman, I'm sure you gave undertakings to deliver statements on those two issues, on blood bags and the ICU payments. Go and dust out those statements. You can give them on Wednesday, but Tuesday is about BCG. Thank you. Next, Titus Hamala, Lurambi.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Pursuant to the provisions of Standing Order number 44, Section 2 and C, I rise to request for a statement from the chairperson of the Departmental Committee on Transport and Infrastructure regarding expansion of the Kakamega-Mumias Road and the adjoining feeder roads. Honorable Speaker, the Kakamega-Mumias Road is a vital transport network in Western Kenya, connecting Kakamega County to Vihiga County, Nandi County, Kisumu County, Bungoma County, and Busia County, through which the road ultimately links to the Busia border. The road also contributes to local economics, facilitating regional trade, connecting key commercial towns in the region, and facilitating transportation from transportation of farm produce, particularly sugarcane, to the country's major sugar companies, namely Mumias Sugar Company and West Kenya Sugar Companies, including Butali Sugar Company. Despite the significance of the Kakamega-Mumias Road, it has never been expanded to meet the increasing traffic demand since it was tarmacked many years ago when I was in primary school. Honorable Speaker, the narrowness of the Kakamega-Mumias Road with the deplorable conditions, especially along the areas, namely Mumuyukwe, Maondo, Ishisiru Center, Stendumogo, and Shibuli section, has been contributing to fatal accidents involving sugarcane tractors and trailers, motorists, including motorcyclists and pedestrians. Further, various feeder roads to the Kakamega-Mumias Road, particularly the Eshisiru Esumeya Bushiri Road, classified Road C1, is impassable. Of critical concern is the Isasala Bridge along the road, which has partially collapsed but remains in active use, posing a serious risk to motorists and lives. There is an urgent need to expand the Kakamega-Mumias Road and upgrade its key feeder roads, particularly the Ishisiru Esumeya Bushiri Road, classified Road 1, including restoration of the collapsing Isasala Bridge so as to improve safety and support seamless economic growth in the region. Honorable Speaker, it is against this background that I request a statement from the chairperson of the Departmental Committee on Transport and Infrastructure on the following. 1, the plans by the Ministry of Roads and Transport and the Kenya National Highways Authority to expand the Kakamega-Mumias Road and fully recarpet the surface instead of the periodic patchwork maintenance works that yields low value for public funds. And number 2, the immediate interventions by the Kenya Rural Roads Authority, KERA, to upgrade the Shisiru Esumeya Bushiri Road, classified Road C1, and reconstruct the collapsed Isasala Bridge along the said road, including financing mechanisms and the projected timelines. I thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Chair, Roads and Transport, GK, when can you bring a response?
In 2 weeks, Honorable Speaker, we will build the statement, the response.
2 weeks?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. Joseph Gitari, member Kirinyaga Central. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Request for statement regarding the status of rehabilitation of roads in Kagumo Town, Kirinyaga Central constituency. Honorable Speaker, pursuant to the provisions of Standing Order 44-2C, I wish to request for a statement from the chairperson of the Departmental Committee on Transport and Infrastructure regarding the status of rehabilitation of the roads in Kagumo Town in Kirinyaga Central constituency. Honorable Speaker, the road in Kagumo Town, especially Gateway and Trojan area in Kirinyaga Central constituency, experience high volume of traffic due to tea transportation, health services, activities, and market centers located within the said area. As a result, there is a need of rehabilitation of the roads within the area, including installation of speed bumps and zebra crossing to ensure the safety of residents and road users. This will prevent road accidents and enhance economic growth in the area. Honorable Speaker, it is against this background that I wish to request for a statement from the chairperson of the Departmental Committee on Transport and Infrastructure on measures being put in place to rehabilitate the poor roads and install speed bumps and zebra crossings on the roads around Gateway Trojan area in Kagumo Town, Kirinyaga Central constituency. I thank you, Honorable Speaker.
DK. When can you bring a response?
Honorable Speaker, in about 2 to 3 weeks, should
2
be able
weeks.
to respond.
We'll give you 2 weeks.
Thank you.
Honorable members, allow me to acknowledge the following. In the Speaker's Gallery, we have Njiri School. Is it called Njiri or Njiris? Njiri. Njiris. Njiri School from Kigumo, Moranga. In the public gallery, we have Nyabondo Boys Junior from Nyakach, Kisumu, and Narok High School from Narok North, Narok. On my behalf and behalf of the House, we welcome the students, their teachers, and those accompanying them to the House of Parliament. Member for Kigumo has asked me to welcome Njiri School. You can do so on behalf of all your colleagues from whose jurisdictions we have schools. Go ahead. Give the honorable.
All right, thank you, Honorable Speaker. I want to take this opportunity to welcome Jiri and Honorable Speaker, because that school is named after the senior chief, Jiri Wakaraja. That's why it was renamed to Jiri. That is his actual name. So I want to welcome them to Parliament and all the other schools that are attending this session. I'd like them to be inspired so that they can aspire to be members, they can aspire to be great members of this country once they see the session and the people who are contributing and the debate that goes on here. I also want to wish them well as they travel back to school and all the schools here on behalf of Parliament and members of Parliament. Asante, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, Bwana Munyoro. Responses from education. Is the chair education here? To respond to a request by Honorable Robert Mbui. Education. Rebecca, are you ready? Go ahead. Give Honorable Tonkei the mic. There's one next to you. Okay.
Yes, thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, we have a statement to the answer question which I was asked by Honorable Mbui, who actually attended the meeting where the CS was summoned. Honorable Speaker, the question was on the status of the disbursement of capitation funds to schools. Honorable Speaker, the question has 4 components, which we wish to respond to as follows. A report on the status of disbursements of capitation funds to public schools for the first term of 2025, including the total amount of currently owed to schools due to delay in disbursements of funds. Honorable Speaker, every enrolled learner in public primary schools is entitled to receive a total of Kenya shilling 1,420 per year. The funds are disbursed to schools at the beginning of every term through 2 bank accounts as summarized below. Term and percentages, account 1 and account 2, 50% in term 1, which is 365, and 50, 344.50. 30% in term 2, 219.30 in account 1, and account 2, 206.70. 20% in term 3, which is 146.20, and account 2, 137.80. Total is 731.00, and account 2, 689.00. Out of account 1, Kenya shilling 75 per learner was deducted and sent to the Kenya Institute of Curriculum Development for purchase of textbooks. Out of account 2, Kenya shilling 20 per learner was deducted for co-curricular activities. For term 1 of 2025, the ministry disbursed 4,127,304,81 shillings for a total of 5,812,164 learners. This was made up of Kenya shilling 1,688,433,642 for account 1, and Kenya shilling 1,886,676 and 0.99 for account 2. There is no money owed to schools for term 1. All the money was disbursed in January 2025. Honorable Speaker, the approved rate of capitation for junior schools is Kenya shilling 15,043 per learner per year. For term 1 of 2025, Kenya shilling 15,323,832,631.92 was disbursed for 2,994,201 learners in 20,350 junior schools across the country. This amount is 50% of the annual capitation due to the schools. The entire amount was disbursed in January 2025. Honorable Speaker, at the secondary school level, the approved rate of capitation is Kenya shilling 22,244 per learner per year. For term 1 of 2025, the ministry disbursed a total of Kenya shilling 28,824,649,743.76 for 3,268,616 learners across 9,513 schools. Each learner received Kenya shilling 8,816.61. The disbursement was 50% of the budgeted amount in the printed estimates. This was done in 2 tranches. The first Kenya shilling 14,412,324,871.88 was sent in January 2025, with a second of the same amount sent in March 2025. It is important to note that the allocation of Kenya shilling 28,824,649,743.76 reflects a budgetary deficit of Kenya shilling 7,528,897,408.24. The resource requirement at the approved rate of capitation is Kenya shilling 36,353,547.152. The second part of the question is the capitation amount allocated per child for the examinations and activity fees for primary and secondary schools. Honorable Speaker, no part of the capitation is allocated for national examinations. National examinations are funded independent of capitation from the budget allocated to the National Examination Council. In primary schools, the capitation amount allocated for co-curricular activities is Kenya shilling 76.44 per learner per year. Out of this, Honorable Speaker, Kenya shilling 40 is retained at the headquarters to be used in running co-curricular activities at the national level, while 36.44 is sent directly to the schools. In junior schools, Kenya shilling 700 has been allocated to curricular activities and shilling 647 for internal assessment per learner per year. For secondary schools, the capitation allocated per learner for activities fee in term 1 of 2025 or Kenya shilling 525. The allocation for teaching and learning materials was Kenya shilling 1,643. The allocation for internal examination is 11% of the sum provided for tuition. Honorable Speaker, the third part of the question was the measures being taken by the Ministry of Education to ensure that disbursement of capitation fund is timely. Honorable Speaker, the Ministry has taken steps to ensure timely disbursement of capitation to schools. From the beginning of the year 2023-2024 financial year, capitation disbursements are done on a timely basis in the ratio of 50 to 30 to 20 for term 1, Term 2 and Term 3 respectively. This was a change from the previous practice under which disbursements were done on a quarterly basis without reference to the school terms. The ministry requests for funds from the exchequer.
How much more to go, Rebecca? Too long.
Yeah, I'm almost done, Honorable Speaker.
Go ahead.
Honorable Speaker, the ministry requests for funds at least 3 weeks before schools open. And for funds, for example, as requested on 25th, 2025, once the ministry receives the funds, and all that is explained in the statement. Honorable Speaker, there is also the existence of any planned review to the amount of capitation funds allocated per child in light of the current harsh economic conditions. Honorable Speaker, and this, the committee is aware of this, and the entire House is aware of this, that there is need to change the current allocation as the conditions of economic conditions have changed, so there is need to review this. In conclusion, Honorable Speaker, the committee, the ministry urges the committee to support the ministry ensuring that the budgetary allocation is adequate as approved rates of capitation. That is the National Assembly is created for that. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Robert Mbui, she says you also attended a meeting with the committee and the minister?
Yes, Mr. Speaker, I did.
Okay.
And I was extremely disappointed, Mr. Speaker, because there were no solutions to the problems that are facing our children. You know, any nation that doesn't take education of its children seriously is actually on the wrong trajectory. And Mr. Speaker, you remember even our forefathers actually identified ignorance as one of the enemies of development and the future. Now, Mr. Speaker, the reason I was raising this matter of capitation was to establish whether it is enough for the education of our children. Mr. Speaker, 1,420 shillings per primary school child is what is being offered currently. And Mr. Speaker, that money is supposed to cater for all the activities that go into education. It's supposed to deal with internal examinations. It's supposed to deal with, things to do with sports. It's supposed to deal with drama. It's supposed to deal with music. And Mr. Speaker, it really wasn't enough. Now, Mr. Speaker, I was hoping that the CS would have been able to provide a solution. And I was thinking that one of the things that is facing as a problem, Mr. Speaker, is that education as per the Basic Education Act and as per the Constitution of Kenya is free. Basic education is meant to be free. We also even amended the law and made exams also free. So, Mr. Speaker, I wanted him to give us a solution because the Act says that the principals and the head teachers in Kenya cannot be able to levy any charge to the parents. But, Mr. Speaker, every single school in Kenya, actually parents are still paying. Now, unless we come up with a policy to address this matter, what will happen is that some schools will ask for 100, others 200, others 300, others 400 and more. So, Mr. Speaker, a policy would help us to have a standardized amount that is charged for every parent so that if we cannot afford it, then we make it fair. So, Mr. Speaker, I just feel that we need better answers and we need a solution to this problem.
Tongai.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. It's true that Honorable Mbui was he attended the committee meeting where the CS was. And we all agree that, Honorable Speaker, it is this House that appropriates money for schools. And we all agree that the CS has no solution to this, but the House has a solution of dispersing funds to the ministry so that they can give our schools money. Because, Honorable Speaker, I was in record asking the CS, how free is education in Kenya? And Honorable Speaker, because, every time our parents are asked to pay money, it's because the CS has no way to give, he has no money by himself. The parents and the principals need the schools to run. Honorable Speaker, looking at his question, it is true that the questions that were asked were partly answered. But if we could also allocate money for them to be able to give the money that is intended to be given for disbursement, then, Honorable Mbui, I think we'd be in a better position.
Yes, Mwenje.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, on the same issue, one of the concerns that we have, Honorable Speaker, is that students who are registered on NEMIS, the money comes based on the number of students registered on NEMIS. There's been an intentional deregistration of students on NEMIS so that the ministry sends less money to the schools. Honorable Speaker, one of my schools in Umoja 1 Primary, just give an example, was sent 59,000, a school that has 3,000 students. How do you send 59,000 as capitation? Honorable Speaker, we also need the Ministry of Education to be clear. There is this notion that they send half the amount and retain the other half. Can they clarify that position so that school heads can understand that this is the amount that is coming? That if they say they're giving 15,000 to JSS students, you're only going to send 7,500 and the rest you're going to retain. Make that clear rather than school heads expecting the full 15,000, which will never come. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Bowen first, then Owen. Bowen, not Owen.
You know, Mr. Speaker, Owen took over my name. Mr. Speaker, in the last supplementary, the chair of education is on record in this house. There was an allocation of 100 million Kenya shillings, if you check in our records, in the supplementary too. And Mr. Speaker, the chair of education told us then that the money was going towards upgrading the NEMIS to make sure that all the students in this country are captured properly so that capitation money, when they are sending from the ministry, they are sending from a point of information and the point of, based on the numbers of students in every school. So it is proper if the chair of education can tell us whether that money was utilized to upgrade the NEMIS and whether the NEMIS is actually serving the Ministry of Education well in terms of recording the number of students per school and also giving track the capitation we are giving to our schools.
Tongai. Let's hear Owen Bayer first. Tongai, not those.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I want to join, I would like to join Robert Mbuyi on this matter. Honorable Speaker, I would like to request you to ask the Wamboka-led committee to investigate schools, especially the PAC committee led by Wamboka, to investigate schools, because in my constituency, I have this problem. Money is sent to schools. Immediately the money lands there, a letter comes in from the sub-county education officer saying that now send us this amount of money for this purpose, per student 10 shillings or 5 shillings. After some time, another letter comes from the county education office saying send us 10 shillings per student for every school for games. When the students want to go for games, parents are asked to bring money so that the students can be facilitated to go for games. Secondly, Honorable Speaker, the issue of NEMIS. I have a school that has 1,000 students, but the ministry sends money for only 500 students. You ask, why haven't the other students been given? They will tell you they don't have birth certificate. Honorable Speaker, if you remember, I brought this matter here in this chamber, and the minister then said, no birth certificates will be required. Students who do not have birth certificate by virtue of the fact that they were not provided for them are denied an opportunity to access education, and they are sent away, they are sent home just because they don't have a birth certificate. They are told, bring in money. Thirdly, Honorable Speaker, when it comes to examination, if you ask the Ministry of Education, have you sent money for exams? The ministry will say we have sent money per student for exams. The people in the education sector will go and get a person who provides exams at an exorbitant price, and they come back and tell the head teachers, tell each of your students to give money, and the students are sent home to go and collect money for exams. Honorable Speaker, unless this parliament takes a decisive step and requests a special audit, a forensic audit in these schools and the education offices in the counties, we will never get an answer and our students will suffer. Honorable Speaker, what the minister will say here in Nairobi is different from what is on the ground. Parliament must go down, investigate schools. How come Minister of Education run some special accounts. You know, they open accounts where they say, KEPSHA, for example, Kenya Primary School Heads Association, are given 10 shillings per student. And that money is sent to a KEPSHA account, and they sit down and share that money among officials of KEPSHA and officials of the ministry at the county levels. Honorable Speaker, this is what happens, and that's why our kids keep on being sent home, so that they go collect money to boost certain kitties in schools. Honorable Speaker, we need to come to the end of this by ensuring that we investigate per county, per constituency, per sub-county, Honorable Speaker, so that the truth comes out. Otherwise, our children will continue to be sent home for exams, for sports, for PTA, for things that are mundane. They are not important to the education of the child. Honorable Speaker, I feel very pained about this because I see every time happening to schools. We must bring a stop. Money sent by government to schools must be used for what it was sent for, not to enrich education officers in the counties and head teachers and other officials. Honorable Speaker.
Tongay, you've heard that?
I have heard it, Honorable Speaker.
What's your response?
Honorable Speaker, you know, for the not examination, the one for activity fee, we agreed with the CS that it's time they review the percentages they are sending to schools. Because, you know, leaving 40 shillings here at the headquarters and giving out around 10 shillings to the students at the lower level, Honorable Speaker, that money is too little. And, you know, as students go upward, they are fewer than when they are beginning their activities down there. Honorable Speaker, I still request that this House allocates funds to the Ministry of Education, because the principals and the head teachers have no problem. The problem is the money they are given. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Tongay, you can't ask for more when the little you are getting is being applied badly. Have you heard what Owen Baya is saying?
I have heard, Honorable
What you do, Honorable Tongay, I know you are not the minister, so you may not have ready answers.
Yes, true.
You go back and bring responses to these very serious allegations that the money is sent to schools from the ministry. Then the schools are instructed to send some of the money to education officers in the counties, to KEPSHA, and so on and so forth. KEPSHA is not as an association of students, so they have no business taxing students. It's an association of teachers, and so on and so forth. I think we all know what goes on in the education sector. And you can see how many of your colleagues are agitating to ask questions on this. I'll give another two, then we go to something else. You'll extract the order paper, share with the ministry, and ask for additional information which you can bring to the House in another 2 weeks. Ngogoyo. Ngogoyo.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mine is on the NEMIS, Mr. Speaker. Mheshimiwa Mwenje raised the Honorable Mwenje raised the issue of deregistration, which she has not answered. In the answer, can she provide the issue of...
Tongay, these questions are being asked to you.
The issue of upgrading the system, Mr. Speaker, in my constituency, most of the schools are about 4,000, 5,000, and 3,000. Majority of those schools in the NEMIS are registered 1,800 students. And we have raised the issue of deregistration of people who are already in the NEMIS, and in your answer you did not provide. I want to request you, Mr. Speaker, can she provide, after the supplementary 2, where we provided 100 million, and the minister himself said you no longer need a birth certificate to register a child in NEMIS, why is it that they do not deliver 100% of the monies for students in a school, while it is in their statements that you have 3,000 students in a particular school? And I'll give you Ngata Rongai Primary. It has 4,200. Up to date, they receive capitation for 1,200 students. Mr. Speaker, I would want to know what's the problem with the NEMIS, which we have provided resources. And
yes.
Thank you very much, Owen Baya, for listening to the ground.
Yes, Honorable Gashagwa. Kerema, sorry. Yes, you and the member from Ndaragwa look alike.
Speaker, I cannot be Wamunyoro in any sense. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. It's very unfortunate on what we are discussing about, Honorable Speaker, as pertains to the children whom we have mainly in our primary schools. For when you are driving along a certain primary school in your constituency and you find very young children going home, and when you ask why, you are told is that they have been sent away from school to go and collect some levies which are unconstitutional levies as pertains to the Minister of Education. Speaker, if you look at it, we have directors of education in our sub-counties. We have TSC directors. These two are duplicating work for one another. And if you look at it very well, the Ministry of Education, at the time they are sending the directors at the sub-counties, they should cater for them of how they are going to survive and how they are going to manage their own affairs without necessarily per se asking the primary schools or the hands of the schools for money, that little money which they are sent as capitation money. But if you look at it, is that the money is demanded for all activities for the ministry, which is very unfair, because you'll find that a kid is sent home to go and collect some levies, which you cannot find it within the Act of Education. For it is provided that education is free, basic education is free. We are in a problem whereby the government agreed to have free education, and we are unable to meet that obligation of free education. So I'm praying, Honorable Speaker, that in the duplication of work, which we have created parallel bodies, which are embargoed, be looked upon so that at least we can have children having a free atmosphere of running. Speaker, if it's a secondary school, if it's a principal who has sent a secondary school student home, as an MP, you can be able to raise up your phone, call the principal, tell him that bursary is coming, only the student at school.
Yes.
But when it comes to primary school, we cannot even give them bursaries. It's a big problem.
Point made, Honorable Tongei.
It is the reason, ladies and gentlemen, that these
additional
brave
information,
souls
and
bound
those with
and
issues
compromised
you will follow up there.
stand here as a united
Honorable
opposition determined
Joseph
to
Tonui's
Kenya.
request, Chair Housing, Planning, Works and Urban. Manduku. I thought the chair is Johanna Ngeno.
Mr. Speaker, I'm answering on behalf of the chair.
Go on.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. A request for the funding of the Olengoroni Stadium was made in the year 2011. The procurement process was complete, and on the 12th of November 2012, a contract was executed between the then Office of the Deputy Prime Minister and Minister for Local Government and Twin Construction Company at the quoted tender sum of 290,643,668.93 for a period of 24 months, with the intended date of completion being 20th November 2014. The scope of works entailed the construction of a perimeter fence, boundary wall, retaining walls, soccer pitch, 4-number public dais, pavilions, driveways, parking bays, ablution blocks, and other facilities. The above works were supposed to be delivered within the prescribed contract period, with the assumption that both parties were to be diligent in exercising their respective contractual obligations. However, this was not the scenario, because over the entire implementation phase, there were delays by payment. In fact, certificate number 1 was delayed for more than 1.5 years, while certificate number 2 was delayed for another half a year. The above delay was in contravention of clause 23.3 of the conditions of the contract that stipulated, and I quote, "The employer shall pay the contractor the amount certified by the project manager within 30 days of issuance of each certificate." The payment delays were mainly occasioned by 1, lack of exchequer support to the project arising from minimum or constrained budgetary provisions for four consecutive financial years, that is 2015, 2016, 2016-2017, 2017-2018, and 2018-2019. 2, the transfer of devolved functions and corresponding funds to the county governments, Olenguruoni being one of them. However, the county governments did not take up the functions of the stadium as the contract was between the contractor and the national government. And 3, the movement of the Urban Development Department from the then Ministry of Local Government to the Ministry of Devolution and Planning, and again to the Ministry of Lands, and to the current State Department of Housing. It is under these circumstances, Mr. Speaker, that I wish to respond to Honorable Tonui's question as follows. 1, the terms under which the construction of the Olenguruoni Stadium was transferred from the national government to the county government of Nakuru. And the response is as follows. Following the mutual termination of the contractor, the county government of Nakuru assumed the responsibility of securing the site until budgetary allocations for the repackaging and completion of the project. Hence, there was no transfer of construction responsibility to the county government of Nakuru. 2, details of the contract sum, amount paid, balance and transfer funds to the county government, and whether the action was lawful. And the response as follows. The contract was for Kenya shillings 290,643,668.93 cents. At the time of mutual termination, the contractor had been paid a total sum of 120,446,886.20 cents, thus leaving a balance of Kenya shillings 170,196,782.73 cents. There was therefore no transfer of funds to the county government on this project. As has been stated, the mutual termination was a process occasioned by lack of exchequer support to sustain the contract. Number 3, the reasons leading the contractor abandoning the construction site, having received funds, and what legal action has been taken to enforce compliance with the contract terms or recover misuse of public funds. The response, the contractor was released from performance through mutual termination after it became evident that the contract was untenable given the circumstances. The contractor was paid on the basis of measured works, and hence no public funds were lost. Further, mutual termination was undertaken within the provisions of the contract. And lastly, the specific measures or plans put in place to ensure the completion of the stadium of Olenguruoni. It has been the ministry's desire to ensure that all projects initiated are completed to ensure that there's value for money. However, the main challenge has been lack of budgetary support. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Another statement. The next statement requested was the one by Okay. Honorable Joseph Tanui, are you satisfied with the report?
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I want to state that I am satisfied with the response. I also want to say, Madam Speaker, that I have information from reliable sources that the construction of Olenguruoni Stadium will be starting very soon. Thank you so much.
Now, next we go to the response for the statement requested by Honorable Abdul Haron, member for Mandera South, from the Chairperson of National Cohesion and Equal Opportunity. Honorable Adan, are you ready with your statement?
Yes.
Okay, proceed.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I have a response which is very voluminous, but I have made I've made the report a little bit short so that we can save also time without interfering with its content. Honorable Speaker, the Clerk of the National Assembly, via letter NADABC 2503 of 19 May 2025, wrote to the Public Service Commission conveying a request from Honorable Abdul Haro, MP Mandera South constituency, through the chair of the Committee on National Cohesion and Equal Opportunity for a statement regarding ethnic representation in public service for the financial year 2022-2023, 2023-2024. The committee received the following responses on the issues raised. A report on the national proportionate population shared of each of the 46 ethnic community, including the communities whose representation in the public service. The answer is proportionate to the national population share in the financial year 2022-2023. A total of 35 ethnic communities were proportionately represented to the national population, and they are shown on the table number 1. And additionally, 2 groups stated as non-Kenyans and not stated were also proportionate to the national population share. These are Aware, Bajun, Boran, Burji, Dashinaj, Ndorobo, Elmolo, Embu, Gabra Goshi, Elchamus, Kamba, Kenyan Arabs, Kenyan Asian, Kenyan European, Kenyan So Stated, Konso Kuria, Makonde, Mbere, Meru Nubi, Oromo, Pokomo Rendile, Sakuye, Samburu, Suba, Swahili, Taita, Taveta, Teso, Tharaka, and Malakote and Wayu. Honorable Speaker, in the financial year 2023-2024, a total of 37 ethnic communities were proportionate to the national population, and they are shown on the table number 2 below. And these are Aware, Bajun, Boran, Burji, Dashinach, Ndorobo, Elmolo, Embu, Gabra Goshi, Ilchamus, Kenya Arab, Kenya Asian, Kenya European, Kenya So Stated, Kisii, Konso, Kuria, Masai, Makonde, Mbere, Meru, Nubi, Ormo, Bokomo, Rendile, Sakuye, Samburu, Suba, Swahili, Taita, Taveta, Teso, Tharaka, Turkana, Malakote, and Wayu. Honorable Speaker, on the question of those who exceed the proportion share, in the financial year 2022-23, 4 ethnic communities exceeded their share. These are Kalenjin, Kikuyu, Kisii, and Luo. In the financial year 2023-24, 3 ethnic communities exceeded, and these are Kalenjin, Kikuyu, and Luo, exceeded their proportion share of the national population. Honorable Speaker, on the ones which are below their proportion, in the financial year 2022-2023, 5 ethnic communities are below. These are Kenyan Somali, Luya, Masai, Mijikenda, and Turkana. In the financial year 2023-2024, 4 ethnic communities were below their proportionate to their population. These are Kamba, Kenyan Somali, Luya, and Mijikenda. Honorable Speaker, communities not represented in the public service at all. Communities not represented in the public service at all. In the financial year 2022-2023, 2 communities, that is Dahalo and Kenyan Americans, were not represented in the public service at all. Honorable Speaker, the report on the staff deployed by the Public Service Commission detailing designated and job group or job scale and the ethnicity. As per 21st May 2025, the Commission had a total of 276 staff from 30 ethnic communities, comprising of 138 male and 138 females, translating to 50% each. And in the post at the Commission are against approved staff establishment of 491, indicating a variance of 215. The 30 ethnic communities represented in these scales are Bajun, Boran, Embu, Gabra, Garre, Kalenjin, Kamba, Kikuyu, Kisi, Kuria, Luya, Luo, Masai, Mbere, Meru, Mijikenda, other Kenyans, Bokomo, Bokot, Rendile, Sabot, Sakuye, Samburu, Somali so stated, Suba, Swahili, Taita, Teso, Tharaka, and Turkana. Honorable Speaker,
Honorable Chairperson, how much longer is your report? Because if you have an executive summary, you can go through it and then members can be given copies.
Of all the new appointments and promotion made in the ministries and departments for the financial year 2021-2023, new appointments in the ministries and departments for financial year is in 2022-2023, a total of 12,992 officers were appointed, comprising of 5,484 female and 7,508 male. The list is as indicated below in terms of their clans or in terms of their ethnicity. Finally, I'm trying to rush. Promotions of officers in the ministries departments for the financial year 2022-2023. In that financial year, a total of 22,754 officers were promoted across 307 ministry departments, comprising of 8,256.
Yes, okay, Honorable Chairperson, allow me to recognize the schools that are seated in the public gallery because they'll end up leaving before we do. So I wish to recognize the presence of the following schools: Chogoria Boys High School from Maara constituency, Tharaka Nithi, and Narok High School from Narok North constituency, Narok County. On behalf of the substantive speaker and the members of parliament, we welcome you to parliament. Thank you.
The list is again as shown. Copies will be shared on ethnicity. Honorable Speaker, the status of Draft Public Service Commission Affirmative Action Regulation of 2024, the Commission concluded the Draft Public Service Commission Affirmative Action Regulation and sought views from the general public, also specific targeted stakeholders, giving a period of 1 month for the receipt of the views. The period lapsed on 2nd of May 2025, and the Commission is currently in the process of analyzing the views received from the various stakeholders. Once they are all analyzed and incorporated, where possible, the Commission will undertake a stakeholder validation exercise and thereafter subject the draft to the Attorney General, submit the draft to the Attorney General before presenting it to the National Assembly Committee on Delegation of Legislation. Thank you so much.
Okay, next, honorable members, is the response to the question by Honorable Mark Mwenja, member for Embakasi, by the chairperson, Transport and Infrastructure. Who's representing the chairperson, Infrastructure? What's your point of order, Honorable Russell?
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, the person who sought for that statement is just sitting there comfortably. I'm not sure if he's happy with that response. But from those of us who are hearing, we are really worried that we live in Kenya. Maybe Abdullah Rom, you could give him time.
Yes, Honorable Bowen.
Madam Speaker, I listened to the response by the Honorable Chair for Cohesion and giving out the statistics on how communities have been employed in civil service, how this tribe and that tribe got their share and others didn't get their share. Madam Speaker, even as he does that and as he comes up with that report, as a committee, there are so many ways before you come up with your report. There are so many ways you have to check. There are so many things you have to check. You cannot tell us that if we ask for now for a position of a graduate engineer in town here, you will find there are so many number of Kikuyus here compared to people from Tana River or from Mandera. And you say, okay, because we have 10 or 50 positions, we want to give a Mandela 25 positions when there is no engineer from there. So we have to look at so many issues. So I'm just giving an example. So, and also the population ratio. The population ratio. There are so many things we have to look into so that we don't say these other ones exceeded their shares. As long as they are Kenyans, Madam Speaker, we need to look into as long as they are Kenyans and qualified. They should be, all of them, they should stand a chance to be employed and given an opportunity to serve in this country. Not to say these people here, yes. Tarakaniti.
I think this debate, the most important thing is that members already have this, the report will be circulated and members can always raise the issue. Again, once they've read, they need to have read the report. With he needs to look at the report, read the percentages. I know he's talking about pro rata population, but that has to be something that only if you interrogate the report in depth. So we have agreed that we move to the next statement. Honorable GK, member for the chairperson, Transport and Infrastructure. No, the honorable member is stopped from contributing because he was sitting next to the chairperson. He forfeited his opportunity and it was taken up by Honorable Russell and others. Let's proceed. Honorable
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. And though I'm on my feet to read the response to the statement requested by Honorable Mwenje, I want to agree with Honorable Kangogo that we should base employment
We are
at
not-
all times on merit and not tribalism. And that if we continue this way, Honorable Speaker,
we
we'll be
said we'll defer this
perpetuating
to a later time.
tribalism. Let
So
us base
proceed.
employment
Honorable
on
GK,
merit.
Honorable GK, we are not debating the statement. We said that will be for a later time. The report will be given to members.
Now I can
stick
respond to
your
the statement, yes.
Yes.
Honorable Speaker, Honorable Mark Mwenje requested for a statement from the chairperson of the Departmental Committee on Transport and Infrastructure regarding the status of 24-25 work plan for the Kenya Rural Roads Authority and Kenya Urban Roads Authority. Honorable Speaker, Honorable Mwenje sought to, among other things, establish measures being taken by the government to ensure the work plan tendered for the financial year 24-25 are not suspended due to lack of funds. Measures being taken to ensure that the delay does not occasion pending bills and other charges that may result from breach of tender agreements. And 3, actions being taken to implement or being implemented by KERA and KURA to ensure that roads under their jurisdiction which are due for maintenance are not affected by the delay in disbursement of funds. Honorable Speaker, I have the response from the ministry dated 14th May 2025. And as you know, Honorable Speaker, this response has been overtaken by the events of last week, where we got a court ruling directing on what the ministry should do or KRB should do regarding RMRF 22 and 10% allocation. So, Honorable Speaker, I want to request that Honorable Mwenje allows me or should allow me to give a more current statement.
Order, Honorable Murugara and
possibly
Honorable
next
Bowen.
week.
You can do the shouting match outside the chambers. Proceed.
Honorable
GK.
Speaker, I want to request Honorable Mwenje to allow that I give a more current response next week, Wednesday or Thursday, because what I have here has been overtaken by the events of last week. Thank you.
Thank you. The Honorable, is the Honorable Susan Kiamba, member for Makueni here? He's already said that his report that he has is overtaken by events, so you'll only be speculating. You're having another chance next week when he comes. Yeah, member for Makueni, are you present? Okay, so we can proceed. Can the chairperson, transport and infrastructure respond to that? Because we only respond if you're present.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, the member for Makueni County, the Honorable Susan Kiamba, MP, requested for a statement from the chairperson of the Departmental Committee on Transport and Infrastructure regarding the status of Emali Ukia Road. Honorable Speaker, the Honorable Kiamba sought to, among other things, establish 1, a report on the current status of the Emali Ukia Road, including any maintenance of improvement works undertaken on the road and when they were undertaken. 2, the reason why tarmacking of the said road, which is of significant economic importance, has been delayed for decades despite repeated government commitments. And 3, specific plans by the government to prioritize the tarmacking of Emali Ukia Road to ensure its long-term usability, including budget allocation and timelines for upgrading the said road. Honorable Speaker, regarding the current status of the Emali Ukia Road, including any maintenance of or improvement works undertaken on the road and when they were undertaken, the ministry submitted that Ukia Emali Road section is in motorable condition. The road recently underwent a 9-month routine maintenance contract that was completed in November 2024. A new routine maintenance contract is currently under procurement and works were expected to commence in May this year for the section between Ukia Dudune Center. The scope of works include 1, grading the carriageway for the full road length, that is 2 cycles within the contract period of 12 months, and B, spot graveling, and C, gabion protection works, and 3, culvert installation. 3, Kera has constructed 4.1 kilometers and done spot improvement of 1.64 kilometers. 4, regarding the reason why tarmacking of the said road, which is of significant economic importance, has been delayed for decades despite repeated government commitments, the ministry submitted that the road section has not been tarmacked due to unavailability of funds. And 5, regarding specific plans by the government to prioritize the tarmacking of Emari Ukia Road to ensure its long-term usability, including budget allocation and timelines for upgrading the said road, the ministry submitted that the road section has been designed to completion as part of the East Africa Economic Corridor, and construction shall commence once funds become available. And finally, Honorable Speaker, the routine maintenance contract for Ukia Emari Road has not yet been signed or commenced, and therefore no payments have been made to any contractor. Honorable Speaker, I submit.
Member for Makueni, are you happy?
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I think on the first bit, I'm satisfied with the input. However, I'm wondering whether the chairman is not aware that in today's paper, it is already in the advert that the road is going to be tarmacked and we are in the procurement process. Is this a hog? Or are you aware that this process has reached? Or the money you are talking about, is it now there? Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Yes, Honorable GK, you can just
Honorable Speaker, thank you for that information. Unfortunately, I don't read newspapers. So, but I'm happy that you have informed us.
Thank you. Let us move to the next one, which is the question by, what's your point of order? Yes, Honorable.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, that's very worrying from the chairman, infrastructure and roads, because it is true, the same road, Madam Speaker, has been advertised for upgrade to bitumen. Yet, when you listen to his answer, he says there is no funds. Madam Speaker, why am I worried? Because in the supplemental one, we put money in roads. So I'm wondering, is the chairman not aware through the ministry, roads or projects that are pending in the ministry, so that when it comes to give answer to this house, they are satisfactory to the members who ask? Because, Madam Speaker, members in this house don't ask questions for themselves. We are being listened by all Kenyans, by our constituents, and it's important for a chairman to give a satisfactory answer that a member can convey to the people who send to this august house. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Okay. The assumption is that the chairperson gets the information from the ministry, then conveys it to Parliament. So because they seem to be conflicting facts, maybe we give the chairman again to get back to the ministry and give another update next week. Then that way we can make progress. Then he can explain about the advert and what exactly is being done. So it will be your duty, Honorable GK, to get that information and bring it to the House.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for your guidance.
Next, Honorable Faisal Bada, are you here? Msambweni? Okay, so Transport and Infrastructure Chairperson, you can proceed to respond to that issue. Honorable Kareke, you're distracting the chairperson. He has a state report to make to the House on the issue of the frequency of road accidents along Likoni-Lungalunga Highway by member for Musambweni.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, on Wednesday, 9th April 2025, the member from Musambweni, the Honorable Faisal Banda, MP, requested for a statement from the chairperson of the Departmental Committee on Transport and Infrastructure regarding the high frequency of road accidents along the Likoni-Lungalunga Highway. Honorable Speaker, the Honorable Member therefore sought to, among other things, establish, one, the immediate and long-term measures taken by the Ministry of Roads and Transport to mitigate the frequent road accidents along the Likoni-Lungalunga Highway, and two, the steps made by the Ministry to erect speed bumps, pedestrian crossings, and other preventive measures in these accident-prone areas as an intervention to reduce the frequency of accidents. And three, the plans in place to improve road signage, lighting, and enforcement of traffic regulations along the highway to enhance road safety for both motorists and pedestrians. Honorable Speaker, the committee received a response from the Ministry of Roads and Transport on 12 May 2025, which I now wish to make. Regarding road safety concerns along the said road, the ministry submitted that it is taking short and long-term measures to address them. In the long term, the ministry plans to comprehensively redesign and upgrade the road to meet safety standards. The procurement process for the design consultancy is currently underway under the multinational Bagamoyo Horohoro Rungarunga Malindi Road Project funded by the African Development Bank. In the short term, the road is currently under performance-based contract that, among other things, incorporates road safety features like road markings and road signs in the scope of works to be implemented. On the measures taken by the ministry to reduce the frequency of accidents, the ministry, through the Kenya National Highway Authority, has identified locations along the road as priority areas for road safety enhancements based on reported accident trends, and the maintenance contractor has been directed to implement appropriate interventions, including the installation of rambo strips and or standard speed bumps, markings of pedestrian crossings, and erection of road signs. 6, with regards to the plans to improve road signage, lighting, and enforcement of traffic regulations along the highway to enhance road safety for both motorists and pedestrians, the ministry emphasized that enhancing road safety requires a collaborative approach that integrates engineering solutions, public education, and enforcement of traffic regulations. While the ministry, through its road agencies, primarily focuses on engineering interventions, it works closely with other government agencies to support public awareness and enforcement efforts. Additionally, Kenya has been progressively installing road signs through maintenance contracts. However, vandalism of these signs remains a significant challenge, particularly in the coastal region. To address these, the agency has started using signage made from non-steel materials to help mitigate vandalism. Honorable Speaker, I submit.
Okay, Honorable Faisal, are you satisfied?
Thank you, Madam Speaker. The response is satisfactory, though I'm requesting the chair at least to give timelines on the short-term interventions by Kenha. Thank you.
I think that's duly noted by the chairperson. Shall endeavor to give you the short-term interventions. So now, honorable members, we shall return back to order number 10. And so next order.
Order number 10, motion. Report on the consolidated fund services expenditures for the estimate for the financial year 2025-2026.
Chairperson, Public Debt and Privatization, Honorable Shure.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I beg that this House adopts the report of the Public Debt and Privatization Committee on its consideration of the consolidated fund services for the budget estimates for financial year 25-26, laid on the table of the House on Wednesday, 11th June 2025. Honorable Speaker, this marks the 7th report on the CFS expenditures presented and deliberated by the National Assembly and provides basis for the House to consider non-appropriated and mandatory expenditures of the national government. As such, appropriated and non-appropriated expenditures are considered accordingly. Honorable Speaker, I extend my sincere gratitude to all the diligent members of the Public Debt and Privatization Committee for their unwavering commitment in examining these estimates of expenditure and for tabling this report for deliberation today. Our appreciation also goes to the key stakeholders who contributed critical insights during the committee sessions and to the committee's secretariat for their support. Honorable Speaker, the consolidated fund services expenditures are obligatory expenditures that are deducted directly from the consolidated fund and are not included in the annual appropriation bill, as stipulated in Article 2217 of the Kenyan Constitution. Today, these mandatory expenditures are the largest expenditures of the government. Honorable Speaker, CFS expenditures financial year 25-26 will amount to Kenya shillings 2.14 trillion, thus indicating a decrease of Kenya shillings 148 billion from Kenya shillings 2.28 trillion in the financial year 24-25. The committee observed that this decline, which will provide fiscal relief in the financial year 25-26, is largely attributed to reduced debt service costs and will provide much-needed fiscal space that should be utilized prudently. Honorable Speaker, the financial year 25-26 CFX expenditures constitute of 1. Public debt service expenses at Kenya shillings 1.9 trillion. 2. Pension expenditures at Kenya shillings 234.9 billion. And 3. Salary allowances and miscellaneous expenditures at Kenya shillings 4.7 billion. Honorable Speaker, the review of the CFS expenditures for the financial year 25-26 presents a timely opportunity to realign our fiscal management strategies towards a long-term sustainability and growth. While debt service remains the dominant component, accounting for 89% of the CFS expenditures, a projected 7% decline offers a short-term fiscal reprieve. This window, though narrow, should be strategically leveraged to improve budget execution, invest in growth-enhancing sectors, and reduce the burden of non-discretionary expenditures. Honorable Speaker, in the financial year 25-26, public debt servicing is projected at Kenya shillings 1.9 trillion, comprising of Kenya shillings 1.3 trillion in domestic debt service and Kenya shillings 586.4 billion in external debt service. This reflects a Kenya shillings 140 0.67 billion from the financial year 24-25. The decline is mainly attributed to a significant drop in redemption costs by Kenya shillings 242.5 billion, although this is partially offset by a Kenya shillings 101.9 billion increase in interest payments. Honorable Speaker, interest payments for total debt will reach Kenya shillings 1.1 trillion, while maturing debt will amount to Kenya shillings 803.7 billion. The high interest obligation will account for 40% of ordinary revenue, underscoring the growing cost of debt and its implication for fiscal space. Honorable Speaker, Kenya's fiscal outlook reflects a notable reallocation of public spending between financial year 2015 to 2016 and financial year 2025 to 2026. Interest payments as a share of GDP is projected to increase from 3.2 to 5.7, while development expenditures will decline from 7.2% to 3.5%. This inverse trend signals a structural crowding out effect, where escalating debt service obligations are displacing capital investment in infrastructure, education, and other development-enabling sectors. Honorable Speaker, the opportunity cost is notable as resources that could stimulate economic transformation and improve welfare are increasingly diverted towards servicing past borrowing. The broader macroeconomic impact is reflected in the decline of total investment as a share of GDP from 19.5% financial year 2015-2016 to just 4.1% for the financial year 25-26. Such underinvestment undermines capital formation, lowers the marginal productivity of labor, and reduces the country's long-term growth potential. Honorable Speaker, pension expenditures, on the other hand, are projected at Kenya shillings 234.9 billion in the financial year 25-26, reflecting a Kenya shillings 11.75 billion increase from Kenya shillings 223.1 billion in the financial year 24-25. This growth stems from 1. Kenya shillings 6.55 billion rise in ordinary pension payments, and 2. Kenya shillings 7.74 billion increase in commuted pensions. However, the performance of pension disbursement continues to be affected by slow exchequer releases and system downtimes. Honorable Speaker, salaries compensation for constitutional and independent office holders is projected to increase by Kenya shillings 584.64 million, growing from Kenya shillings 4.08 billion for the financial year 24-25 to Kenya shillings 4.73 billion financial year 25-26. The primary driver of this increase is Kenya shillings 543.13 million allocation for judicial salaries, hardship allowance, and arrears. Honorable Speaker, arising from this consideration of the estimates and submissions from stakeholders, the committee made pertinent observations, including that there is a need to address challenges in pension disbursement in order to take care of our pensioners, enhance cash flow coordination in order to improve budget execution, and that the over-reliance on domestic borrowing requires practical and well-sequenced reforms. The reforms in reference, Honorable Speaker, include strengthening Treasury's cash debt management functions, accelerating the rollout of the Treasury single account, and institutionalizing frameworks that ensure timely counterpart funding and prudent online practices. Such measures are essential to improving liquidity, reducing commitment fees, and enhancing the credibility of the national budget. Honorable Speaker, the committee also noted the need to rebalance borrowing sources and to tap into alternative financing, including grants, climate finance, and concessional loans. We also cautioned that while instruments like securitization may provide liquidity, they should be used carefully to avoid undermining fiscal consolidation efforts that might affect public debt sustainability. Honorable Speaker, After our deliberations on the estimates of the consolidated fund services under the budget estimates for the financial year 25-26 and consultation with various stakeholders, the committee therefore gives the following recommendations for consideration by this House. 1, that in order to ensure full in-year pension disbursement, the clearance of pending obligations, the National Treasury should, within 30 days of the adoption of this report, implement an actionable framework to resolve delays in exchequer releases and address system downtimes that disrupt the processing of pensions disbursement. 2, that, in line with prior resolutions of the National Assembly, the National Treasury should expedite the implementation of the Treasury single account to consolidate idle government cash balances, improve liquidity management, and lower the government's borrowing cost through more predictable cash flow management. 3, that to ensure full and timely disbursement of donor loan financing and avoid incurrence of commitment fees, the National Treasury should ring-fence domestic counterpart funding from frequent supplementary budget reallocations and make counterpart funding provisions for loan agreements entered to mid-year. 4, that to minimize the opportunity cost arising from waived on-lent loans and the payment of called-up government guarantees, the National Treasury should, within 60 days, formulate a standardized framework for determining interest rates on on-lent funds and the repayment of called-up guaranteed loans. This framework should be aligned with the market benchmarks on interest rates and credit worthiness. 2, formulate enforcement mechanism to ensure timely repayments and reduce the risk of defaults by institutions benefiting from government financial support. 5, that the National Treasury should adopt and enforce performance-based benchmarks and disbursements readiness protocols to prevent the accumulation of undrawn external loans, which continue to attract costly commitment fees. No new loan agreement should be executed without full compliance with the performance-based benchmarks and disbursement readiness protocols. 6, that to reduce reliance on debt and enhance access to alternative financing, the National Treasury should, within 60 days of adoption of this report, develop and publish a comprehensive national strategy for mobilizing non-debt financial resources, that is including grants, climate finance, and other concessional funding. Honorable Speaker, this report is not only a reflection of the current fiscal pressures, it is also a call to action. With coordinated effort, strengthened institutions, and adherence to the fiscal discipline, Kenya can navigate the present constraints and lay a firmer foundation for inclusive and resilient economic growth. Honorable Speaker, with that, I beg to move, and I request Honorable Irene, the Vice Chair of the committee, to second. I thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Yes, proceed. Give her the mic.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I rise to second the motion on the consideration of the expenditures under the Consolidated Fund Services for the financial year 2025-2026 as ably moved by our chairperson. Honorable Speaker, the report before us is a product carefully analysis guided by our constitutional obligation to provide oversight of our public finances, including discretionary expenditures that are not subject to annual appropriation. I commend the chairperson and the committee members for the rigorous scrutiny applied to these estimates. Honorable Speaker, this year's CFS allocation stands at 2.14 trillion, a slight reduction from the previous year, Kenya shillings 2.2 trillion, largely